And all right, here we go. Welcome to the channel, folks, and welcome to Jim Penman as always. Jim, thank you for joining us again, giving your valuable time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jim Penman, founder and CEO of the Jim's Group, representing in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, with 5,700 plus franchisees, and with over 1 million jobs completed annually and 300,000 inquiries monthly. So again, welcome, Jim.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, and today we're gonna discuss how to survive in business in a challenging, troubled economy, global economy in 2026. Hand it over to you, Jim. We'd like your expertise and insight on that, given
Well,
what's going on in the world.
times are certainly becoming tougher, John, no question about it. We've seen the volume of leads shrinking. After COVID, we had about close to a third of our leads were unserviced. Now we're down to about 15%. It's quite an
Gee,
improvement, quite a reduction. From
yeah,
our point of view, it's actually pretty good times because we're not limited so much by clients as by franchisees. And harder times makes it easy to recruit franchisees. So we're a sort of a counter-cyclical business. Our
yes.
best growth tends to be in recessions.
Yes, you have mentioned that in pre, which in most businesses is if you compare it to most business, that's absolutely incredible, isn't it? In a recession, because you mentioned, yeah, when we went through the pandemic,
Hmm.
which I know was testing for you.
Yeah, that was
I,
bad. That was the government shutting us down. That
oh,
wasn't really a recession. We had plenty of work, but they wouldn't let us do it.
yeah, and I remember because we discussed certain things on some interviews where there was some. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was some maybe councils mowing lawns, but you
Yeah,
weren't
yeah.
allowed to mow lawns.
Council workers mowing lawns in groups or doing gardening in groups when we were considered too dangerous to do it as individuals, touching, seeing, talking to nobody, and we were dangerous. But council workers, apparently, because they're employed by the government, they must be immune to the virus. So,
Ludicrous.
yeah.
Thank God that's hopefully gone.
Well,
Oh,
next time we have an epidemic, I hope the government will be a bit less insane about it. They'd
oh,
had no health reasons for doing it. We proved that. We actually challenged them, saying, "What were your health reasons?" They said, "We've done it to tell you."
yeah,
So
it's
they had no
and all
reason.
the court
Good
cases that are,
politics.
yeah.
120,000 Victorians out of work, but it's good politics. I mean, we don't mind a bit of misery, and we don't mind, a few $1 billion in extra government costs, but because it looks good politics for us. Whatever, okay.
Yeah, and the people that went broke with it, which is really sad, over yeah. Oh dear. So with in your experience, Jim, given the current economic unrest globally, not only price of fuel, the flow-on effect. I don't even know whether we're seeing the flow-on effect yet in prices and inflation and whatever the government's talking about. I don't know, because the August when the August figures come out, but just to say, petrol and other costs. How do you think that's affected in your figures that you've just quoted? Like, and also from a franchisee's point of view, obviously their costs because they're going to do shopping for their family, groceries, the home loan, and on it goes.
Well, the interesting thing about, again, because we're in this peculiar situation of having most franchisees flat out. So they started to
Yes,
get worried about the petrol going up. And I said, well, yes, but it's good news.
yes,
Because if you're busy, what you can
yes,
do is go to your client and say, "Look, I'm very sorry, Betty, but with the price of petrol going up, I'm going to have to put an extra, say, $5 on your charge." So you go from 80 to $85. Now the thing about it is that's a maybe whatever 5%, 4%, 5% increase, but your costs haven't trebled overnight. So in actual fact, it's kind of like a good excuse to raise your prices. That's
yes,
talking in our kinds of business, but that's again a peculiarity of ours because we have lots of work. Most of our franchisees are absolutely flat out
yes,
still.
yeah. It's yeah, and also what I wanted to mention as part of this, um, with all this AI going on and Australia, well, Victoria, I know there's quite a few data centers setting up. whilst data centers, it feeds off the internet and AI, and I believe it uses a massive amount of electricity. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I guess we'll all have to go green eventually. Um, but how do you see AI? Not only these robots, like I've seen some robot lawnmowers, for example, right? Um, and how do you see that affecting you on top of this global unrest?
Well, from our point of view, AI is pretty good because we use it in head office. It's very useful. For example, our programming costs have come down. We can achieve more
Yeah,
with less costs than in the past. So we're pretty good, and we use it for things like social media, those kinds of areas. There's a lot of useful for us. The great thing about our business, again, I sound like a bit Pollyannish, don't I? But if you could replace somebody going out, not as a robot lawnmower, that's easy enough to do, but you have to have somebody put it in there. They've got to program it, they've got to repair it, they've got to whatever.
yeah,
And then you've got to do the edges and the gardening. That's so far away from anything you could remotely replace one of our guys to. It might make them more efficient, replacing them, no. So the
yes,
kind of jobs that we do, unless you've got complete humanoid robots that can do everything that a human worker can do, ours is about the last industry that would ever be thrown out by AI. And if we get to that stage, we are completely stuffed as a human race because there's virtually nothing. I mean, seriously, if you can run a lawn mowing business or a cleaning business and actually have somebody go out, negotiate prices, turn up, do the work, go home, that's like a human being. I mean, there's no difference. So what possible job would there conceivably be that couldn't be automated?
yeah.
And
Well,
I don't think it's
yeah.
going to happen because if it does, we're obsolete. And I
Well,
don't know that the actual political system, I can't even believe so sane to say everybody's going to go out and have a 7-day leisure week. It's not going to happen.
we'll all end up with mental illness, Jim.
Yeah, we would. It'd be bad for us. It'd be bad
You
for
know,
us, and to
yeah.
become economically useless is not a good. It's not a good principle. You don't want that.
No, that
So,
it's unhelpful. Or we'll have to all fly onto Mars and start business on Mars. Is that
well, then
with?
you get robots going there, which could do it a lot better anyway. I mean, why would you want people when robots? Because they don't need air.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah. You know what I wanted to mention on that, as you've touched on it, because I like for me personally, if I get service, and I have used many of your servers, I have said this on my channel several times. I've used your antennas, I've used Jim's mowing, I've used, and I've always found it to be personally fantastic. Like you're always going to get, how can I say it? Like if I want a service, particularly yours, the first thing I think of is Jim's, hand on heart. But also, I wouldn't want a robot or a remote control or a drone or whatever is going to mow my lawn or do my cleaning because I want a person where I can interact with. Does that make, and I'm willing to pay a premium for that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
No, I don't think it's going to happen. I think
Yeah,
a lot of other things could be automated. Driving is one thing too.
yeah,
Uber taxis and stuff will be out of date. I think that's pretty close. I mean,
yeah,
automatic drive cars are actually have lower accident rate than human-driven ones. The only
yes,
reason we don't have it in Australia is because the government is too lazy to get off their backside and do something about it and pass the
yeah,
legislation. They're
yeah,
very good at micro manipulating and crushing businesses, but actually doing something constructive to help the economy, not
yeah,
so good.
yeah,
But I don't see it as a problem for us. I see ours as a refuge. It'll be the
yes,
last area in the economy. You could put robots in factories because it's a defined area. You do a defined job in a defined area, and they're doing better than that.
mm,
But what we do is so much more complicated than that. It's getting out there, it's talking, it's quoting, it's getting your gear there. It's an order of magnitude harder than anything
yes,
that you could possibly see robots doing at present. It's not the
yes,
kind of area. Lots of other stuff, lots of white collar stuff. Absolutely, yes. Change that. It's already happening. I use it all the time in my research, in my
yeah,
scientific research. It's fantastic.
yes,
Writing books and stuff. It's great for looking
yes,
things up. It's like having, great research assistants fully paid for, working flat out for you and a lot quicker. They're
yes,
terrific. But
yeah,
what we do know. The point of it is, I think to anybody in hard times, what we have done over the years is we've relentlessly focused on service
mm,
to franchisees, service to customers. And good times and bad, it's the same thing, better service all the way. And I think
yeah,
about this every day. We've got great software we're developing now, a thing called Jimbo that's being rolled out to our
yes,
franchisees. That has
yes,
all kinds of things in it, like it reminds franchisees that they don't call a client back.
Mm.
It automatically sends reminders to clients. There's a whole lot of other things. They don't turn up. There's all kinds of things in this program that should drop our complaint rate by at least half. And then
Yes.
we have more and more. So what we've done over the years is we've improved and improved and improved our service in good times and in bad. And as we've done that, it becomes easier and easier to find clients. And I say that to anybody in any business at all. What you've got to do is be absolutely relentless in doing what you do better.
Mm.
Like, for example, just a small thing with this new Jimbo, we're going to have a system set up so that most of them don't need Zero. So they, instead of paying $75 a month for some program that links in, we want to be able
Yes.
to do it for them.
Yes.
Or if they
Yes.
do need that, we'll negotiate. So if we can save our franchisees, 60, $70 a month, that's an extra service to them. It doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also going to save them time, more time to say, with their families or their whatever they're doing, or
Yeah, that's right.
to follow up
It's on their
customers.
phones. They go out and do their job. Invoices all done. They go home. Instead of sitting down paperwork, they spend time with their families. There's no
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, yeah, and it also, it's like you said, continuous improvement. That's one of the parts, that's continuous improvement, and then it has a flow-on effect to the value they offer to their clients.
Yeah, that's
And
right. Well, what we
yeah,
offer is great service. We're not after a cheap price. We don't focus on
no,
price. We focus on service, and
yes,
that's actually the better part of the industry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I've watched a lot of your videos, especially with your marketing guru there. He does a fantastic job, and I listen.
Yeah,
I
Joel is
also,
top guy.
yeah, oh, he's fantastic. I love watching that, and also when they sometimes I don't laugh at you, of course. I laugh at these silly questions that some of them. You've always got these skeptics, and I think I've heard you say it probably 100 times or more. Ring up, make an inquiry. We're going to give you the names of the franchisees. Go out on the road and count the money they make, because I
Yeah,
listen. I think it must be one every time you do it that people don't believe that your franchisees are making what they're making.
yeah. Actually, I'd say this last survey we did, they're turning over about $3,000 a week. Now,
Yeah.
I look at that figure. People think that's a lot, but I see my point is, why are you making so little? Just to put
Mm.
this in perspective, the average lawn mower is about $80. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when I was mowing lawns, and I did that for 15 years, I would typically do 12 jobs a day. That's not
Mm.
difficult because the job takes you just a bit over half an hour, bit of time for
Yeah.
traveling.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, on the basis of what I used to do, and I was traveling a lot, much more than my guys do, and traveling, doing cleanup jobs and stuff like that. I didn't have
Mm.
any workers. It was just me on current terms, I'd easily make $1,000 a day. So working a
Mm.
5-day week without working excessive hours, I
Yes.
make $5,000. So why people say 3,000 a week's a lot? It's not really. Well, it puzzles me as to why our franchises don't make more. And I think a lot of them are actually largely part time. They take afternoons off and they do things like that. But
Yes.
to me, that's a low. $3,000 a week is low when you know what you can make in this kind of business.
Yes, yes. And also, I know you've mentioned it many times over the years that I've interviewed you. You've also got up what we used to call, I mean, I did lawn mowing independently part time 25, 30 years ago. I used to love it. And I've
Yeah, it's a
heard you
great job.
say upselling, because once you mow their lawn, the neighbour might ask, or the following week, then they want their gutters or their
Well,
roses
that's right.
trimmed,
See, if you're
and
cleaning
everything
somebody's
adds up.
gutters,
Yeah,
you're already there. You're going to charge, let's say, $150. Now you've got to have proper harness and stuff. There's training and stuff, and that's not
yeah,
difficult for our guys to do. But that's
yeah.
going to take you probably maximum 3/4 of an hour. So
Mm,
you're talking about maybe $200 an hour. You don't have
mm.
to travel, and then
Correct.
you're in the middle of the winter. Now it's pruning time. Now
Yeah.
pruning is a specialized job. I've just been pruning my a plum tree on my farm,
Mm.
and sorry, fig tree, and it's
Oh,
quite
love the figs.
hefty work. But
Love the figs, Jim.
you've got to know how to do it. You've got to know where to
Yes.
cut. It's not a
Yes.
big job, but it's a specialized job. That's the sort of job you're not charging $70 an hour.
No.
You're going to be charging $150 an hour on a quote. Obviously, you don't charge them by the hour. You just say this is
Yes.
to do your trees, and that's
Sure.
specialist knowledge. And then you put
Yes.
some fertilizer in, and then next year we get a beautiful crop of fruit, which people
Yeah.
love. I mean, that's that kind of stuff, or your roses or hydrangeas or whatever. It's not difficult to do. So
No.
upselling is the key.
Yeah. And that's where, when I listen to your, as I said, your marketing man, he does a brilliant job. But as I say, I don't laugh at you. I laugh at these skeptics, because they've either got lack of experience, or you know, you're offering them to ring and get a number and go out on the road with these franchisees, and they're still not wanting to do that. Or I don't
Well,
understand
the funny thing is when they actually come forward, oh no, I wouldn't join gyms because they take 40% of your fees. I'm confident.
it.
Asked. Have you
Yeah,
rung anybody or talked to anybody who's a gym's franchisee, and they'll tell you it's more like 6%. For the
yeah,
guys who are really successful, it's a fraction of a percent because it's based
yeah,
on a flat rate plus lead fee. So it's
yeah,
so easy. But it's
yeah,
funny, I think sometimes a lot of this stuff is just an excuse. Somebody
yeah,
says, oh, I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it because I'm too smart.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
because I'm too lazy to have my own business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think you're always going to have shit. But like I said, hats off to you and your marketing man. Sorry, Joel. I think his name's Joel.
Joel,
That's right.
Joel.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
a fantastic job. I love watching those. Now, with business in general, again, these people that are finding it tough in business, like you might have not just in mowing or cleaning, but in any business. Um, what would you recommend to them? They're finding it tough, because I also heard the other day, I don't know if it was on, I don't want to mention the channels on YouTube, but they mentioned that it was one of our politicians actually mentioning that they'd been in business when they were younger, and they researched that it costs around $30,000 in costs to run a business these days, not franchise fees or anything. What would you recommend to someone that's thinking and saying, right, I'm independent, I'm struggling with all these costs, marketing, I haven't got a marketing structure. How would you approach it to them to entice them of thinking to come over to a reputable brand that has everything together, marketing, like gyms, to sort of give them some confidence to look at your branding?
They do occasionally do that, John, but it's more a matter of pride in your image. I've got, Fred's
Yes.
mowing, and that's really good. And I get great customer service, and I'm so good. How much are
Yeah.
you making? Oh, I can make, $50 an hour on a good day, which is
Yeah.
ridiculously little. So,
What
but they,
year are
but
we
it's
in, Jim? Yeah.
well,
What
I
year?
know.
Yeah.
There's a guy sits in front of me in church. He's good. He's advertising. He's got Michael's mowing on his mowing in church, which is good
Yeah.
luck to him. But the amount of money he makes is terrible.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
making about $60,000 a year. I said to him one
Oof.
time, I said, look, I'll give you a franchise. You can make double what you're making now easily.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We actually had a
Yeah.
guy who was with us until he left last year. Actually, he's got about 5 guys working for him, and he's just made an application to come back. He says, I can just get better prices with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, we're at the beginning, when I ring, like if I'm looking, I live in an apartment, of course I don't have any lawn, but if I'm looking for a service, right, like when I did my antenna back when I was living in a unit that I was renting, I didn't look past it because even if there's a premium to pay, I'd rather go with a reputable company like Jim's Group because I know there's good customer service. They're going to delight the customer and so on and so on. I wouldn't think twice.
Yeah.
But
Look, there's a
so,
market for
yeah,
being cheap, John. There
yeah,
really is. There are
yeah,
some people that just want the cheapest price regardless. We try and discourage them from calling us. If you need our pricing has never got our advertisements never have, cheap price or anything. Never put
no,
that on at
no,
all. So we don't want. I actually had a person
yes.
who actually contacted me by email. He said, "Look, I'm after a service, but I really have to have the cheapest possible price." And I said, "Go to High Pages. You get 5 quotes." I don't want you ringing my guys because they don't want to compete on price. They're going to
Yes,
compete on quality. But
yes,
we've only got even in mowing, probably only about 10% of the market. So we don't need to. But I think people get fouled up. First of all, people think they give great service. They really
yes,
do. People are
yes,
so delusional about it. And one
yes,
of the biggest problems is they don't see it. I'll give you an example. We have a system called Bizzer, where we
yes,
sell surplus
yes,
leads to
yes,
independents.
yes,
And that's quite successful. It's making us about $1 million a year at the moment, which we now plow back into helping franchisees get more work and so forth. So it's
yes,
benefiting them. But one of the complaints we have from these people is that you're too tough. He said, Mike, our customer service is so good. It's so good, but you're carping on with your complaints and surveys and stuff. And, it's
yes,
wrong what you're doing. But the fact of the matter is this service is not as good as our franchisees. They're just not, but they don't
yes,
know it. They
yes,
think they are. It's like
yes,
I used to be, used to have a an office when we were very much littler in this sort of shopping centre. And there was about, 10 shops around. There was a milk bar at the end, which is like the anchor tenant. And I used to go in there to buy my milk and stuff. And this guy was always complaining about the opposition. He said, oh, it's not fair. The supermarkets take all their business from you. And you guys don't come in and get your lunch from us. You order out. And I said, well, first of all, people come down and you say, oh, you can't because I want to open a lettuce. And I said, why don't you
Yes.
go up and ask them? Because they're just up there. We're talking about
Yes.
2 minutes to walk up. Oh, no, I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And then you go
Yes.
in to get your milk and they'd be chatting with one of his ethnic mates and stuff, and they'd be going for 5 minutes while I'm waiting to pay.
Yes.
So his customer service was terrible. Now, he didn't
Yeah.
think so. He thought the blame was on everybody else. Oh, the blame is people buying and the blame is the competitors. But he
Yeah.
wasn't looking at himself. Now, milk
Yes.
bars are a very tough business, I got to admit, but he
Oh,
wasn't running it well.
yes. Yes. I remember the milk bars in the old. Gee, I haven't seen a milk bar proper one. I guess 7-Elevens have taken over, but that's
Yeah, because
another
they got
business.
petrol and stuff, so they get that extra advantage and stuff. It's a more modern model. But I just
Yes.
give that an example, and it's across the economy. People are delusional. They just have no idea how
Yes.
bad their customer service actually is because they don't watch it. I do it
Yeah.
every day. I'm the only person in gyms who can delete a complaint. So I
Yes.
do that all the time. The franchise law says this is not a fair complaint. You fix
Yes.
the problem, they put through a delete request with the evidence, and mostly I'll accept it. Not always. Sometimes I have
Yes.
to say why not. So
Yes.
I'm aware of it every day. I'm watching, 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 watching. Why is this happening? What can we do every
Yes.
day? And the
Yes.
same thing with franchisees. I've got nearly 6,000 franchisees. Any one of them can contact me, email me, ring me, and tell me about their problems. And I listen and I say, okay, what can we do better? Why is this happening? What are we doing? Are
Yes.
we not training? Are we not selecting? Are we
Yes.
not coaching? Is our software not good? What's going on? What can we do to improve? So every day I'm in this relentless process of improvement, improvement, improvement. It's like
Yes.
Kaizen, it's the Japanese thing, constant
Yeah.
improvement. Don't just wait
Yes.
for the bad times. Do it in the
Yes.
good times. Do it in the
Yeah.
best times. Do it in the bad times. Do it in every time,
Yes.
every day. Focus,
Yeah.
improve. Because
Yeah.
I didn't start with any money, John. I wasn't having any great investment. I was
Mm.
flat broke when I started my business. And
Yes.
I was up against competitors when I started franchising, bigger than me,
Yes.
much bigger, better funded, more
Yes.
experienced. I just had one idea. How can I do this better and better and
Yes.
better? And as I've got better at doing it, we've just grown.
Yes. Yeah, I remember your story, because I've known you for a while now. 1982, $24. You've also showed me a brochure that you used to have when you initially started. Um, and yeah, it's but an extraordinary story that how can I say it even inspires me. I can't work at the moment for health, but it's just so inspiring that even the hairs, I haven't got much hair on my head anymore, but it's standing up, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's very inspiring. Jim, to conclude, for anyone watching out there, listening, and thinking, even students, much like yourself, you're a you've got a PhD in history. You're doing a lot of research as well, which we've spoken about on this channel before.
Yeah.
Um, for someone watching, hearing, and sitting there in their lounge room or in a cafe and thinking, oh, it's just so hard out there. What's your message to them? Give them the message of the Jim Penman that started in 1982. As you said, you were flat broke. What's your message to them?
I think having your own business is strong. It's interesting. People think that you get somewhere by having a university degree, and they get all these statistics which show that if you have a university degree, a tertiary degree, you get more income. Well, that's generally true, but what they don't put into this is if you've got something like a apprenticeship,
Mm,
if you're a tradie, like a plumber or a carpenter or an electrician, you'll also make pretty good income, equivalent to what most graduates get. So for a start, I would think the manual trades are a great place to go because it's a lot less competitive.
mm,
And the big difference is too, if you look at the reason people make more money or less, if you go to something like dentistry or law, engineering, medicine, those kind of things, you'll tend to do fairly well in income terms. But
mm.
generally speaking, university graduates are not in that kind of space. What really determines whether you make good income or not is actually whether in your own business or not. So if you're a doctor and you're working for
Yes.
somebody else, you make an okay salary. But if you've got your own practice, then you can start to clean up. It's the same thing with anything else. My number 4 son is a lawyer. He
Yes.
was paid okay, but now he's got his own practice and he's doing really well. He's
Yes.
making much more money working less hours, and he's great at what he does, and he's just booming. So
Yeah.
it's having your own business is terrific. The thing of it is, it's fairly difficult to do from scratch. So the
Yes.
way I started, I recommend to anybody is either you start part-time, and learn the tracks. Learning how to do it's the big thing. And then you
Yes.
can go full-time when you know. Or else you're probably better off at least starting with a franchise system like ours, where you can actually get training and start off. We don't make it difficult for people to go independent. They just pay $5,000 and go off. They do it sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd say going into business is if you've got the nous for it, that is the definite way to go. You have to be prepared to be a bit of entrepreneur, take a few risks,
Yes.
recognize you haven't got a salary, just work it out, but think about it. But I don't know. I love being in my own business. I mean, at my age, I'm 74. Nobody'd employ me. I mean, seriously, at my age, old geezer, get out of here.
They'd be crazy not to employ you, Jim.
Well, I'm just saying in general terms.
Yes.
When you're past 65, and I know people who are getting older find it harder, but when
Yes.
you're in your business, nobody can fire you yourself. That's
Yeah.
the great thing about having your own business. I love it. And
Yeah.
it takes them all out.
It's that old cliche where I've read so many books, not as many as you, write your own checks, write your own check.
Yeah.
It's that old cliche. And yeah. But anyway, Jim, we want to thank you for your time. You're a very kind man. You always have been to me. Jim Penman, CEO and founder of the Jim's Group, with over 5,700 franchisees representing Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Over 1 million jobs completed annually and 300,000 inquiries monthly. Jim, as always, thank you for your time, and I look forward to talking to you on the next interview. And by the way, Jim's contactable personally. He's even contacted me personally today. If anyone's got any inquiries, you can contact Jim on his website at Jim's Group. And as he's offered and he offers on his social media, get in contact, make an inquiry, and you can go out on the road for free with the franchisees and see it for yourself. Thanks again, Jim.
You can also have a digital conversation with me. If you go on the website, you look up
Yes.
my area, there's an Ask Jim, which has got all the like 2 million plus words in. You ask questions of that, and it'll give the same answers as I would. It's very accurate.
Yeah, I've been on that, Jim. I forgot to mention that is incredible. Yeah, is that you personally, or is that AI that's generated all that? Obviously with
That's
the
AI.
information.
If I had to answer those questions in person, I'd be doing nothing else but talking to people.
You wouldn't get any sleep.
Yeah, but it answers them perfectly. I go in. It even gives things like advice on marriage and stuff. I don't even know where it comes from because it's reasonably sensible. I mean, after all, Joe, I've been divorced 3 times, so I know all the things not to do.
Well, that's a topic for me and you, and I haven't been brave enough to do it again, Jim. Yes, but
I
thanks
got
for
to take the
mentioning.
plunge, John. I got 25 years. We just had our anniversary, and
Oh, happy anniversary, Jim. Yeah, that's wonderful. But yes, I have been on that. I'll talk to you about that next time. I think that's extraordinary.
It
Yeah.
is too, actually. It's going to get better with time too. You're working out better ways to use it. What it doesn't have is a very good visual interface yet, but it will.
Yeah.
Give it another year or so, and you'll be able to talk to me, and you can't tell the difference. It actually gives the same answers as I would give exactly.
Yeah, look, it's extraordinary. Something that I wanted to mention just quickly because I know we've got to go, and you've got another appointment. You know how everyone does these. Like, would your franchisees or your model ever introduce Jim's live cam as the franchisee goes out on the road?
What do you mean live cam?
Where say a lot of these YouTubers and that and Facebook, they do. There's even lawn mowing independents. They'll go out on a job, a 1 hour, 2 hour, and do a live video of what they're doing and show them. They're mowing the lawn, they're doing the edges, they're trimming the trees.
Oh, we do the same thing. We call it day in the life.
Yeah.
So Joel or his team goes out and actually interviews and watches somebody doing their work. Done it for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And it's a bit more well organized. It shots the camera and stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's good stuff. It's very good experience. I suggest to anybody even if you're not going to buy a franchise, go out and do some work with somebody in the field and see what they
Yeah.
do and how they do it.
Yeah.
I even
Yeah.
say to them, if you want to, come and do the training. It's only a
Yes.
few $100. Come do
Yeah.
the full training course, no obligation. Come to
Yes.
the end of it and say, no, thanks, Jim. I know all the stuff I need to. We've had a couple of people who've actually come to our franchisee and franchisor training and gone
Yes.
off and tried to start their own franchise system, which we allow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't work in either case, but still, it doesn't stop them from doing it. You wish to do your research.
Yes. Research, research, research. That's the key. Yeah.
Look at all the videos. There's fantastic videos around. You can learn so much about business these days just by watching videos. We've got, I don't know how many, we've got thousands of them now.
Yes. Yes.
Everything, all kinds
Yeah.
of problems, issues, marketing,
Yeah.
customers, difficult customers, all kinds of things. We've got so much great material. It gets better by the day.
Yeah, and don't forget your books as well, because I know you've got several books out there, and we have spoken about this before on previous interviews as well. Jim, thank you for your time. We look forward to chatting you again on our next interview.
All right, thanks, John. Good talk to you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Okay.